Welcome back to my channel. If y'all don't know, it's a channel called Ant Live, right? At Things Daily. Today we got a video. Pawn Stars is the fakest show. So I guess Pawn Stars is being accused of being scammers and their show being fake. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Pawn Stars is the fakest reality show in history, yet somehow they tricked millions of Americans.
I watch Pawn Stars all the time, like late night on YouTube. Like ain't nothing else to watch. It'd be like 3, 4 in the morning. I always see Pawn Stars and I watch it.
Into watching 700 episodes over the past 15 years. Fake customers, fake conversations, a fake store, fake items, shady experts with suspicious backgrounds to
how like not famous hungry, but like how attention seeking do you have to be to fake a show for 15 years?
Verify the value of those items. Even the image of the Harrisons being a humble, hard-working blue-collar family is mostly fake. The TV show was essentially an extremely calculated and systematic distraction to prevent the sellers from realizing they were being borderline scammed.
Oh, by the way, I haven't made a video, but I hope y'all had a happy Easter. If y'all don't know, I mean, if y'all had a happy Easter, y'all let me know in the comment section. Did y'all go Easter egg hunting at y'all big age? Do y'all have kids that go Easter egg hunting? Y'all let me know. I hope y'all had a happy Easter, man.
And in this video, we are going to expose it step by step. However, this system was built out of desperation because the cast we now know today was actually so unlikable in real life that nobody initially wanted to work with them. The show's producer, Brent Montgomery, recalls the first time meeting them. I walked out of the pawn shop and I said, I never want to go there again. These guys smoked. They were saying the same jokes over and over. I was actually the 4th producer to work with them, and so I certainly didn't think that was going to be a hit show. Additionally, pawn shops are not exactly a secret goldmine of treasure and rare artifacts. Most shops mainly make their money through loans given to extremely desperate people. Sellers will.
Now that I think about it, a lot of pawn shops, they don't everybody that I know that went to a pawn shop, they like had to pawn something in for some money and then pay it back at a later date. I did not know like of a pawn shop really buying really high exclusive items and then really selling them. I've never heard about that until
will offer the pawn shop their lawnmowers, blenders, TVs, firearms, anything with a little bit of value. Then the shop gives them 25 to.
At a pawn shop, you leave a property in and return. The pawn broker typically lends you approximately 25 to 60% of the item's resale value. The most commonly pawned items are jewelry, electronics, and photograph equipment, musical instruments, and firearms.
60% of the item's resale value in cash, and the seller only has 30 or 60 days to buy the item back.
Dang, you are usually given some time, typically 30 to 60 days to pay your debt and get your property back. If you don't, the pawnbroker can sell
with interest. The average pawn shop loan value is $75 to $100, meaning these people are likely next to broke, struggling to keep a roof over their head, or withdrawing.
Back to that again. People that usually go to pawn shops, they went to pawn shops because they was in need of money, instant cash or something
from hard drugs. Rick Harrison, the main character and owner of Gold and Silver Pawn in Las Vegas, said, I think it's 20% of the adult population in the United States that does not have a bank account, and most of them can't get one. They don't have credit cards, they don't have anything like that for when some small emergency pops up. A lot of people don't realize that up until the 1950s, pawn shops were the #1 form of customer credit in the United States. So it's safe to say a show about struggling Americans giving away their possessions for $100 out of desperation isn't exactly the most entertaining idea, which is why their pilot episode was shot down by every major network.
You can't give me 2?
No.
150.
No. I can do 120. It's the best I can do.
I'll pawn it for that.
One time, a guy bought a bunch of stuff at Walmart on his credit card. He brought it in here. His grandmother was in the hospital, and she didn't have insurance. I pawned him for him, and then he went out and he stayed up all night. He won $50,000 and came back, got the TVs back, took them back to Walmart.
So if the pawn shop employees were unlikable and the day-to-day business of pawn shops is low-key depressing, the show is dead in the water, right? Well, Rick Harrison was not willing to give up on the idea of him getting his own TV show.
You know, I have a pawn shop on the strip. You know what I mean? Like, I was always like a media, because I was like.
Do y'all think like now that pawn shop make way more money now, but just because it's popular, like people are going to go to it, like maybe just to get on camera or maybe just to be there because now it's so popular and famous, you could say. So like more people, you know,
Like free advertising. So I know he's like, I put my It was the only 24-hour pawn shop on the Strip in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. And
Yeah.
so I mean, so before you know it, I'm getting Super Bowl rings, things like that.
Yeah.
So I used to put my Super Bowl rings on this on eBay like a week before the Super Bowl. Like so then like a bunch of reporters,
Yeah.
radio stations and things like that would call me, and it was always free press.
Yeah.
And it was always good for business. So like 20
Yeah.
years ago, I'm thinking like, hey. If I get one of these reality shows, get a season or
pretty
two, it might be good for business. Yeah.
Ironically, the way Rick and Brent got their reality show was by completely distorting the reality of the pawn shop. Basically, they sold a lie, and the History Channel bought it.
So, how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about somebody selling you a lie, but then they flourish off of it? At the end of the day, a lot of people only gonna do it. They want to do like a lot of people always do what's best for themselves.
In 2009, the History Channel was
still watch
looking
it,
for
and
something
I'm pretty
different to
sure
boost its
people still watch
ratings,
it.
which got Rick and Left Field Productions a second chance to share their idea. But to work with the History Channel, Rick agreed that the show had to be much more family-friendly than the original concept. It started with the characters, focusing on 3 generations of the Harrisons. Rick Harrison would sit at the center of the operation, often being referred to as
3
the
generations,
genius. He would be tasked with spotting fakes, explaining the history behind the items, and keeping the family in line.
Back in the day, the Mint was always coming up with new designs. They actually tried to get a nickel in
I
the circulation.
always wondered how he knew about every single product that came in there. So it made sense that if it was staged, he would know about a product and he could do research beforehand. And when the person come in, he could tell them about the product.
Where there was a
It made
nickel,
sense.
but it had a hole in the center, so everyone called it the Holy Nickel.
Rick's father, Richard Harrison, would take
Richard B. Harrison, the old man. Richard, the old man Harrison, was unquestioned patriarch of the gold and silver pawn shop. After retiring from the Navy and losing in the real estate market, he moved to Vegas in 1981. All these years later, he is a continual favorite of Pawn Stars fans, from young kids to those who own demographic. He told it like it is, never menacing words or handing out undeserved smiles. He was a family man through and through, and was generous to a fault. When it came to grandkids and great-grandkids, always asking.
the name The Old Man. His role would be the no-nonsense patriarch of the gold and silver pawn shop. He comes in with stories about what the business was like back in the day, and constantly reminds the guys that he is the actual boss.
You know,
Yeah, like, even though he an actual boss, I never really seen him more than, like, if they was having family issues. I always see him if they was having, like, argumentative issues, or, like, if they was arguing with each other, or, like, you know what I'm saying? That's the only way I see
turn that car into a lowrider.
It's his car. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Well, it shouldn't have been his car. It was my car. I'm so damn pissed I don't even want to talk to you.
To appeal to a younger demographic, Rick's son Corey, or Big Hoss, would work alongside his dad, learning everything he can about the business, only to constantly mess things up and make bad deals.
Yeah,
Test drive?
he do mess things up a lot. Maybe not for the
No?
spot.
What do you mean, no?
No, I didn't test drive it. It's a Chris Craft. The thing's worth like 30 grand.
He doesn't spend that kind of money until he asks me first.
They also decided to include Corey's childhood friend, Austin Russell, or Chum Lee, who was essentially the comedic punching bag of the show.
Find me some good deals on that stuff then.
What kind of percentage am I going to get?
Your salary.
I got no problem taking my salary as long as it walks through the doors, but if I'm putting in extra work,
Extra work. You don't work to start with.
But it wasn't the characters that made the show successful. Even the producers knew that. I think people love stuff. The items are the stars. Don't tell the stars that. People really remember when you bring in a Coke machine from the 60s.
Definitely, the items definitely was the start. What is the start? Because if I see something on YouTube, if I'm scrolling and I see like, oh, he just got this. Let's just use a car example because I like cars. If he just got this car and I've been looking at this car and I'm like, I'm gonna go look at it and see how.
And what it felt like to go to a Coke machine, and the great stories behind the stuff that you don't hear on other shows. On the show, people brought in gas masks for babies from 1938, ancient
always
swords like
cool
katanas or Chris swords from the 14th century, helicopters, and ancient firearms used by naval officers and pirates. And despite
But I was wondering, like, I always wonder, like, why would people come from all over just to come to this pawn shop? But it make more sense if it was all staged. Like, everybody, like, I know it's popular, but everybody ain't finna travel that far just to go to this specific pawn shop when they go to the one right down the street, or,
literal treasure coming through the doors now that the cameras were rolling, the guys initially were so stuck in their ways that they refused to buy anything. Brent Montgomery told students at the University of Texas that this was one of the biggest hurdles. If you ever met those guys, I couldn't convince them to pay more for anything, but I did tell them initially to try and buy the stuff even if they didn't want it. If we had a show where they never bought anything, it wouldn't work well. This is likely what led to Rick's infamous lowball offers.
What were you looking to get out of it?
$7 grand?
Ooh, $7 grand's not going to happen.
How about notice that? Like if the appraiser would come in and say this thing 15,000, like he can sell it to pawn, like him right here, he can sell this shit for 15,000, right? He'd try to be like, oh, I get it to you for 8K. I mean, I'll buy it from you for 8K.
3,500.
$3 grand.
One time, Rick lowballed someone so bad, even his son Corey called him out. It started when a seller brought in a pair of 18th century onyx diamond spectacles.
There's enough stones and precious metals in them to make them worth a lot of money.
The customer said he wanted $5,000 for the pair, but when Rick stepped in, he offered way less.
Generally, jewelry from this time period to this quality is worth a lot of money.
Good.
But technically, this isn't jewelry.
So what do you think they're worth?
$700 or $800.
Seriously?
Dang.
Yeah.
The seller then adjusted his price per Rick's recommendation from $5,000 to $850, and even Corey knew they borderline ripped this guy off.
I feel a lot better about these now that my dad looked him over, but I think he might have lowballed a little bit.
And it's because of deals like this that Rick became a massive meme online. However, it was clear that Pawn Stars had found gold. Their season 2 premiere drew
Pawn Stars delivered 7 million views in all-time high history. Total views 7 million. Adults 25 to 54 3.7 million. Adults 18 to 49 3.7 million. Dang.
7 million total viewers, which drove the History Channel to become the #1 cable network for the night in total viewers, making it the highest rated telecast in the network's history. But ratings like this weren't the result of dumb luck. They came from a calculated design, and once you
But would you consider that smart, or would you consider that cheap in the system? Because if you got this plan and you know it's gonna work, would you do it, or would you not do it? That's the question.
You look past the dumb jokes, the humble family business facade, you start to see something else. A very controlled, very repeatable formula designed to get the best deals possible from the sellers. So let's break it down. It all starts with the manufactured image of the cast, which is the Harrison family. The producers have been very open about the fact that they cast blue-collar looking people to trick honest blue-collar people into thinking these reality stars are one of them. I always say we're looking for really smart people who look really blue collar. Those are the casts that we've had success with. It's like when they put the average looking guy with the really hot chick in the beer commercials, so you want to buy the beer so you can be as lucky as that guy. That's who we're looking to cast in our reality shows. So now,
how do y'all feel about that though? Like, but that's everybody. Just like I seen this TikTok video, he was like, if you want to be a model, make sure you at least be 6 foot plus. Make sure you have a big chest and a slim waist. Everybody in every industry, somebody looking for somebody specific. So, hey, if the industry and they look for specific people, and you come in and you fall for it just because you think they look like you, then that's on you.
Now that Rick and his family look like the people their target audience can trust, now it's time to control the environment in which the transactions take place. What you see on screen is not the actual pawn shop, it's a TV set. By 2012, Gold and Silver Pawn had transformed from a small-time pawn shop into a full-on tourist trap. The general manager revealed that about 1 in 100 visitors to the Las Vegas pawn shop are actually there to sell an item. Otherwise, the staff typically shuffles tourist visitors out of the showroom when it's time to film. In response to Nevada's privacy laws and the increased traffic, the Harrisons couldn't continue to rely on their original shop. Instead, they worked with producers to make a separate showroom that was inaccessible to the general public. We got an inside look at this controlled environment when a seller secretly recorded his experience with a camera watch. Andrew Wilson uploaded a YouTube video detailing the process of him attempting to sell his vintage 1985 Rambo metal lunchbox. As he walked around, you can see the trusses above the fake shop with all the studio lights to ensure a perfectly lit set. From there, he went to an office in the backstage area where he met with a field producer who laid down some ground rules before they walked on set.
Okay, so this is when the The lady comes in, sits you down, and says how things are going to go, what you can and can't do. And the biggest thing she says was you can't reference the show. You can't talk about that you're on a show. It's basically you're supposed to act like it's totally normal and you're not on a show.
Andrew and his father openly admitted that the only reason they wanted to sell the lunchbox was so they could be on the show. But the field producer said that they can't do that, which meant they had to lie for television.
Would they actually say, hey, this is my dad's, and would they say, does he know you're selling it? Would they say something like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like, why are you selling it? Like, why are you selling it?
To get on phone stuff.
I know, you can't reference the show.
When he finally walked onto the showroom floor, Andrew noticed that all the customers
Why can't he reference the show though? Like, y'all know? Like, why can't he reference the show if he know he on the show and if people know he on the show?
were just extras, pretending to be paying customers, looking at all the items in the background. And listening to him interact with Corey and Chum Lee is way different than what you see in the final product.
Take that. Yep, that's what they said.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
All right. Yeah.
I have a Rambo lunchbox. Original from 1985.
Rambo? That's awesome.
The matching thermos. Here, I'll show it to you.
It reminds me of myself. Just a real badass.
Yeah, same here.
So where in the world did you get this?
From my dad.
Do you mind if I pull this out?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. He gave it to me. He was a huge Rambo fan, huge Sylvester Stallone fan. He bought it back in 85, and he's had it ever since, and he gave it to me.
Okay. Definitely a sign of the times, man. I can't imagine sending my kid to school today with a lunchbox of a Vietnam vet who had severe
he or the Pawn Star people, he just sound like he just don't want to do that no more. Like, he just sound like he don't even want to be there no more. I'm trying to be quiet during this and not pause that much so we can get a clear understanding of what they're saying and how differently is persuaded here, and then how the final product is.
DSD and killed a couple cops and basically took the town hostage.
The awkward silence and bad jokes makes you realize just how much editing goes into this show. You can even hear the producers giving notes to Corey on what he should talk about.
We'll talk about what
Yeah, I mean...
Look at his face, bro. Like, hold on. Look at his face. He just like, man, damn, I just... Maybe I do want to have a genuine conversation with this dude. Maybe I don't want to talk about. Maybe I don't want to be here. But look at his face. He don't even want to be there no more.
Yeah, I mean, back then too, lunchboxes were kind of like your expression of who you were as a kid.
The awkwardness and the stiffness of the interactions is almost completely gone once you see the final edit.
Oh, these people back there, are they paid extras?
At one point, Steve McQueen was going to play Rambo, Paul Newman was going to play Rambo, and then out of nowhere, Stallone writes, directs, pays for, and produces Rocky.
Yeah, all the stuff they're saying, like Corey and Chumley are acting like, yeah, they did this, and this. Like, you don't actually know these things. You looked this up 5 minutes before we came out here. It's supposed to look like I just walk in and it's natural and everything. And for those of you who don't already know, it's not like that. This is done in multiple takes, and they tell you specifically what you can and can't do.
And in case you needed any more proof of how contrived these interactions really are, the producer Brent Montgomery admitted that the guys are not exactly the experts in history they are portrayed to be, saying, "We found really smart scripters to feed the characters organic information." Now, in this particular instance, Andrew just wanted to be on the show. He didn't really care about making a deal, but that's not the case for most sellers, nor is it for the Harrisons. After all, they do actually have a real pawn shop with full intentions to buy and sell items for a profit, which is why the next phase of their system is a calculated scheme to make sure that they get the best deal possible. Now, about half the time, Rick, Corey, Chum Lee, or the old man will pretend like they have extensive knowledge on whatever item is brought in front of them.
I'm 99.9% sure it's real. I still have that chance that it's not.
The seller puts the item on the counter, and one of the guys will go into a history lesson giving all the relevant details as to why the item is interesting or valuable. However, the other half of the time they will play dumb and admit that they know nothing about the item that is trying to be sold. But lucky for them, 100% of the time they have a buddy who specializes in the exact thing that they need more information on.
I got a buddy who works right down the street. I got a buddy who deals in all these antiques. I got a buddy who works right down the street. He's got a sports shop. I got a buddy of mine. I call him in a lot when I deal with expensive sports stuff.
I got a buddy that's pretty good with stuff like this. Let me have him come down and kind of give me an idea of what they're worth.
Let me call somebody who will know everything about this. I got a buddy who all he does is like Hollywood memorabilia.
I got a buddy that works literally right across the street.
And this is the perfect trap. From the seller's perspective, that expert feels neutral. He looks authoritative. He explains the item's history, verifies if it's real, maybe even compliments
He a part of the show too?
it. But when they give the appraisal, they typically say something like, at auction, this might go for, followed by almost always a price that is far less than what the seller wanted. And now that the expert established the price, the seller now looks crazy for asking anything equal to or more than what they said. But even if the sellers remain firm in their initial asking price, Rick and the gang start talking about the risk, the overhead, paying employees, storage, the fact that it might sit on a shelf for months. Now the seller isn't negotiating based on what they think their item is worth, but rather they're negotiating based off if the buyer can make a profit or not.
I have to make money on this thing. I might get $4,000 out of it, but that's on an auction. There's auction fees. It'll take me a year to get my money. I got to spend money to ship it across the country somewhere.
Putting that already as well.
Yeah, it's $2,100.
And this system, 80 to 90% of the time, leads to the pawn shop getting the seller to sell something to them for far less than what they originally thought it was worth. But in reality, these buddies aren't some objective third party walking in off the street, but rather someone coordinated by production who understands the show and who could get more opportunities to be on television if they excel at their job. Take Bob Uhas, for example, who is the expert they call on when they need to restore an automobile, antique toys, and vintage machines.
This is collectible because it's very rare. Done correctly, done nice, starting at $5,000 and up.
And like this,
you should be happy if you walked home with it for $800.
Not only is Bob an expert when it comes to bringing discarded items back to life, but
then again, like I was saying, if you choose to believe them and you choose to fold, that's completely your fault. Gotta take that.
He's also somewhat of an actor, who was in a couple episodes of American Restoration and Mystery Diners, a hidden camera show to gather evidence of theft or poor customer service at restaurants. So he's not exactly a neutral third party. You can actually argue he is incentivized to give the Pawn Stars guys exactly what they want instead of maximizing the seller's potential payout, especially considering that in the clip I played before, the seller got $850 and Bob got paid $2,600 to restore the go-kart. It just seems likely that if Bob does exactly what the producers want, he could get more screen time, which means more business for him. The private businesses owned by these experts or buddies benefit from the show so much, you'd almost assume that they have some sort of contract. And one of Rick's buddies may have accidentally
They dang sure got a contract, and them cinemas are definitely in there.
Leaked information we were never supposed to know. Sean Rich was one of the most well-known experts, appearing in over 50 episodes of Pawn Stars since it debuted in 2009. Sean is a master antique gunsmith, and he's usually called in when the guys need antique guns, swords, or other armory appraised. But when one fan noticed Sean disappeared and they had a few other gun experts on the show, they emailed him saying, "Why haven't we seen you on Pawn Stars recently? We miss you." Sean replied with, "Unfortunately, to make a very long story short, the production company and History Channel wanted me to sign an exclusivity agreement to lock me down, control me, my business, future, my appearance, how I make a living to provide for my family, and expect me to do it for free or very little money without any negotiation, with no guarantee of being used." Now, of course, Sean could be leaving out very important context. It could just straight up be a lie, or even a fan just making something up out of thin air wanting to stir up drama. But the idea of the experts having a contract with the show makes sense considering how much the show changes the lives of the experts. Jeremy Brown was the buddy they called in.
It definitely make a lot of sense, because call this expert in, boom, 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 boom. They always know an expert. You ain't never seen no person be like, "Oh, I got it appraised already, here to sign papers." You ain't never seen nobody say that on here. Like, nobody's saying this the real deal. I got it appraised by my own expert. You can call them, number right here, email right here. Here it is, signed, and whatever you got to do.
And for anything related to sports memorabilia, he relocated his store, Ultimate Sports Cards and Memorabilia, just 1 mile down the road from Gold and Silver Pawn due to how much business the show was bringing him. However, there are countless negative reviews accusing Jeremy.
They sell fake card packs, was over for some fun, and bought some Pokemon packs on a whim. The cards were fake, even the packaging was bad. It's disgusting to see this one.
Of selling fake cards, charging $50 to $100.
The workers were no help and not nice, just sat behind the counter and talked the whole time. Every card in there is at least $50 to $100 over comps, and they do not negotiate. Probably never going to go there again due to the reasons listed.
$100 more than the market rate, or extremely lowballing.
If I could give 0 stars, I would. The owner offered me $125 or at least $350 worth of cards. He was very selective on what cards he was interested in and wouldn't go over comp.
Sellers wonder where he got that strategy from. Jesse Amoroso, owner of Cowtown Guitars, is the expert they would call in regarding vintage guitars. He also relocated his store to just 1 mile away from Gold and Silver Pawn. Unfortunately, he was also probably the wrong guy to platform. Cowtown Guitars permanently closed its business operations after drowning in negative reviews, with multiple people calling Jesse a thief, refusing reasonable refunds, and providing horrible customer service. Even their professional sports authenticator, Steve Grad, who was in charge of authenticating all autographs on sports memorabilia on Pawn Stars, got sued for approving numerous
That's what I was going to just say. How you know this junk real? And like, what if he got on there and said it's junk fake, but it was actually real?
Forgeries as legitimate. He then admitted in open court that he has never had any education or training from PSA with regard to how to authenticate signatures. He basically said in court that he learned everything he knows about.
If I was one of those people, if I was all those people that he told my card was fake or my signature was fake or whatever it was, I would sue the shit out.
This business from a buddy. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of the Pawn Stars experts are fraudsters. I'm not suggesting what they are doing is illegal or even deceiving, but it is highly controlled so that the house always wins. And some sellers suspect this and straight up admit that they don't believe the experts.
If you wanted to buy this, I'd pay no more than $600 or $700. This one, if you want one of these, I can get you one for $1,500.
No. They're worth a lot more than that. If you think you can find these on the internet for $1,500, knock yourself out, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'd give you $1,000 for the coin.
Is this a real offer, or?
That's a legitimate offer, yeah.
I give you $1,000 for a dart. I give you $1,000 for the increment. Is this the real offer, or are you just playing? He said that because he know he on this.
It's not a legitimate offer, but you're just using your position here, trying to buy something for below its market value.
1,000 maybe. So
that would be your crybaby, whiny opinion. If I come back, it would be interesting to have the same appraisal guy. Sometimes I'd like to smack him, but that's just me.
But it took viewers years to pick up on this calculated system the Pawn Stars created to maximize their profits. The golden era of Pawn Stars is considered by most to be seasons 1 through 6, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that everything looked more small scale and authentic. There were a few big items, but they were almost always
was worse too though, because I mean the quality was actually worse, so people wasn't really probably even worried about it being fake because they really couldn't tell.
He was rejected by the Harrisons for being too pricey or impractical. The History Channel had successfully made the Pawn Stars look like good, honest, hardworking, humble American underdogs rather than multi-millionaires who were ripping off honest people. And millions of their middle America fans cheered them on like they were rock stars.
We're basically here celebrating that Pawn Stars is going to Thursday night. We got Leonard Skinner playing in the parking lot of the pawn shop.
Pawn Stars rocks! Congratulations on another great season.
What era was this? Like when rock stars, everybody wanted to be rock stars. Everybody had straight hair. They were wearing the cut tees. They got jeans and a pocket chain, and they walk around with a guitar.
But in the mid to late 2010s, even their fans stopped seeing them as a humble family business and more like ultra-calculated scammers. And once that illusion was broken, the personal lives of the Pawn Stars started to crumble. On June 25th, 2018, the old man passed away after a private battle with Parkinson's disease. His loss was a major blow to longtime fans of the show, and Rick Harrison worked with the History Channel to make a memorial episode to remember him by.
This pawn
shop is more than just a place of business. There's a lot of memories here. And most of those memories are with my father. Got the privilege of working with my dad 5 days a week for almost 40 years.
The loss of the old man was definitely the first major sign that the show was on its last legs. His dynamic with Chum Lee was one of the few scripted interactions worth watching. From here, Rick had mostly given his role of the genius historian over to the large collection of experts, and Corey had pretty much checked out entirely, as viewers no longer bought the storyline suggesting
he like he'd been wanting to check out though, even in those recent like the older clips.
He wanted to be the next big boss. Then again, even from the very beginning, he never looked like he even wanted to be there.
I probably told my dad I hate him more than I love him.
It's just stupid. It's really stupid. What about the other really bad tattoos you have?
The only chance I have, the only way I have to move up around here is one of them dies.
It's likely that the old man, or the money they were making from the show, is the only reason the family stayed together. Because on screen, you probably would have thought that it was this wholesome, small family, but in real life was an entirely different story. Rick Harrison detailed a lot of the reality behind the scenes in his book, Licensed to Pawn. In one of the chapters, Rick revealed that both Corey and Chum Lee had battled meth addiction before being hired full-time. It also explained why the two struggled with weight throughout the series, as they used fast food as a way to avoid getting high. In fact, 2 years before the old man passed, Chum Lee was arrested in Las Vegas on felony weapon and drug charges. He was taken into custody when officers serving a search warrant in a assault investigation found methamphetamine, marijuana, and at least one unregistered gun at his southwest Las Vegas home. By some miracle and an expensive lawyer, Chum agreed to 3 years probation to avoid jail time and continued working on the show like nothing had ever happened. As for the Harrisons, life after the old man's death slowly turned into a nightmare in the press, especially in 2022. Although it had mostly been kept a secret, Rick had a long-standing feud with his mom, Joanne Harrison, who slapped him with a lawsuit.
Their whole family was just like boggled.
Which states that when she and Rick's father, Richard Harrison, started the shop, she was given 51% of the ownership. After Richard died in 2018, his shares went to Joanne. In the early 2000s, Joanne was in the hospital and allegedly unknowingly signed away her shares to Rick after waking up from a coma. Additionally, she accused Rick of hiding details of her late husband's assets and failing to provide her with monthly allowances. To make matters worse, Joanne filed a temporary restraining order against Rick to prevent him from stopping the monthly payments to her and hiding any family assets. The restraining order stated, while Rick enjoys his comfortable life as a celebrity firmly in control of all the family businesses and finances, Joanne is left frightened and unsure of if she will have enough resources to pay for her considerable medical and personal expenses each month. And this only appeared to be the start of the Harrisons' family troubles. That same year, Corey was suspected of driving under the influence after allegedly swerving all over the road in an alleged relapse. While he would manage to walk out of jail 8 hours later, Rick's son Adam Harrison wouldn't be so lucky. Now again, if someone just watched Pawn Stars, you'd have no idea that Rick's family is much larger than it appears. In reality, the man has been married 5 different times, with the latest wife named Angie Palushkin in 2026. From those many wives, Rick has had 3 sons, Corey, Adam, and Jake. He also has 3 stepdaughters, Serena, Sienna, and Marissa. And while Jake made some brief appearances on the show, most people wouldn't know that every family member has either worked or visited the pawn shop countless times. Rick's son Adam was one of the family members that worked off and on at the pawn shop, but tragically, most fans only saw his face when his own drug habit took a turn for the worse. In 2024, Adam was found dead after an accidental overdose of fentanyl. It was evident that the family drama and trauma
I know nothing about this. It's like a dark
was stacking up to a point where they just couldn't do the show anymore. And in 2025, it was finally announced that the show was not going to be renewed on the History Channel for another season. However, recently they announced a return, but this time without Corey. He said, "At this stage of the game, we're all playing a character on Pawn Stars. I can't play another season of 41-year-old me pretending to be 23. However, Rick and Chum Lee started a podcast at the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, where Rick doesn't really seem like he wants to let go. And even though everyone now knows that Pawn Stars is one of the fakest shows on television, he still has a hard time admitting how staged it really was."
I guess the answer to that question is, it's not a set, but it is kind of a set up.
Yeah.
mock of the pawn shop
but
up
it's
front.
all the entire show is filmed here at the pawn shop.
15 years of dominance on TV just for it all to come crashing down, destroying the legacy of the show forever, which is almost the exact same thing that happened to Impractical Jokers, as they...
But look though, can you say 15 years wasted his time if he was go be famous and rich? Like, even though it went down, if they was responsible with their money, then they said, and he obviously don't want to let go, and people gonna keep watching either way, so he's still gonna be getting paid from it because people are always gonna still watch it. But if you enjoyed that video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time.